I'm gonna tell you everything I know. Grab a notepad, grab a pen, let's take some notes. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to get ARCs. This is the number one thing I'm asked about for good reason. You see all these book talkers, booktubers, bookstagrammers getting these packages from publishers of free books and goodies to promote on their page, and you're like, how do I get that? I'm gonna tell you everything I know. Grab a notepad, grab a pen, let's take some notes. First, let's discuss what an ARC is. ARC stands for Advanced Reader's Copy. Basically what it is an early copy of a book before publication, and the purpose of that is to get some reviews and feedback from an audience before the book is published. And so ARCs can actually be different than the final copy of a book. For example, say an ARC goes out to a bunch of reviewers and there's some really strong feedback on a specific part of the book. That can be changed before publication and be fixed so the final copy has those corrections. It's an opportunity to get a pool of reviews, to create some hype and excitement for the book before it's released, and also to get feedback so if there's any significant glaring errors, they can fix those before the book is published. There are two types of ARCs. There's e-ARCs and physical ARCs. E-ARCs are the most common form of ARCs you're going to see. That's just an ebook. You can get those on websites or publishers send them directly to you, and we'll go through that later when we talk about how to get them. Or there's physical ARCs, and they look like this. This is what a physical ARC looks like. It most likely has a disclaimer like, this is an uncorrected advance proof, not for sale. That is the biggest thing you'll see is when in these reseller groups, whenever they do ARCs, they say ARCs for trade or ARCs just cover shipping. You cannot sell ARCs. Some people do. You're not supposed to. Physical ARCs are much more rare because it is more expensive for a publisher to print physical ARCs versus distributing an e-copy. So not every book will get physical ARCs, and not every book will get a lot of physical ARCs. It depends on the author and the publisher. Some background info for you. Now let's talk about how to get them. Before I go into this whole journey, I want to do a little disclaimer because I think this is it's a glaring issue in the book community. Obviously, in the year 2023, we are seeing a lot more books published that represent ourselves, represent different ethnicities, different religions, etc., etc. And there is sometimes a discrepancy between a book representing community and the reviewers that get that book. So there are obviously instances where I'm a Muslim reviewer, I want to review Muslim books, and I'm denied those opportunities. This is 100% a publisher issue, that they're not taking the effort to reach out to specific represented communities to make sure they get to review their own books. However, if you are a reviewer not of these communities that this book is representing, whether it's a Black book or an Asian book or a Muslim book, and you want to go request these books, I'm not saying like you shouldn't review these books, because obviously like any hype and good reviews is good for this book. But it's better to let members of that community get first dibs, if that makes sense. I have seen too many times reviewers who are not Arab and not Muslim getting ARCs and physical ARCs, which are, like I said, are rarer than e-ARCs, before like me, and I'm a member of that like community of that book. And if it's at the point where you're actively requesting them, maybe hold back. When we go up and wait for it, let's talk how to get ARCs. First thing I'm going to recommend, across the board, make a book-specific email address. Like, this is your email address for all your book reviews. This is something that was recommended to me early on. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years. I think I made it within like my first year. I made like an email like bookishbesma.insta@gmail.com, and it's just a way to stay organized. It's a way to separate like your book reviewing from your personal life and your personal emails. I just think it's a great tip. And then, because number one thing people are going to ask for when you request ARCs or when you're sending emails is they're going to ask for your email address. So it's just good to have like a professional book one, and just keep your things separate and organized. If you don't want to, no problem. I just think it's a great tip, especially if you're going to get like really into this. Things are going to build up. Okay, first place you can get ARCs are NetGalley, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, edelweiss. These are two e-ARC reviewing sites. also audio arcs. So this is basically you just make an account, you make a profile. I had looked up some resources on what to include in my profile, but you want to just say like, here's where I publish my reviews, here are my stats, like I have this many followers, this many things, I like this and this genre. And it's just a website, and you make your profile and you go in and request books to review. Sometimes you're granted them, sometimes you're not. It's up to the publisher's discretion. However, once you start getting books, you're then given a ratio of how many books you reviewed versus to how many books you've been accepted to review. So say you go and request 20 books and you get all 20 of those books. If you don't start reviewing them, your ratio is going to tank. And in the future, when you're continuing to request books, that's what publishers are looking at, your ratio. Well, Besma has a ratio of 20%. She's not likely to review this book, so why would we give it to her? And it's kind of that kind of thinking. So I always say, don't request too many books at once. Request the books you're genuinely interested in, books you genuinely want to read. And then when you get accepted for those books, you have up until the publication date to download and read it and review it. There's no requirements on review. I don't know if NetGalley has a word requirement. I don't use edelweiss. I don't think it has a word requirement, but you have to leave a review and then you answer some questions and then you're done. So this is when it comes into like having an email. Your NetGalley email, even when you work specifically with individual publishers, that's what publishers are going to ask for. So they email you when you've been accepted, they email you some reminders, you go in there, you review. It's a pretty simple, straightforward process. You know, you request, you read, you review, you're good. Keep an eye on your ratio. I will say, I did look up kind of like what to populate my profile with. It's not something I keep up with too much, but maybe I'll include maybe an article or something that I used in my description. That's pretty much it for eARC. Some people just do NetGalley and call it a day, which is fantastic. NetGalley can be overwhelming in that there's so many books to pick from. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. I actually don't honestly know if the amount of followers you have on a platform matters on NetGalley. I don't think it does. We're going to get into now how to get ARCs and whatnot and working directly with publishers. I'm going to tell you right now, it's tough to hear, it sucks sometimes, but the social media platform you have, the number of followers you have now matters. And it's logical. If you think about it logically, a publisher is sending you items. These items cost money. If they're sending you a box, they're sending you physical ARCs, they want to know that you have a platform and an audience that if you post it on your page, they might get some readers, they'll get a reaction. They're promoting their product and you're helping them do that. So I don't think any publishers have like a set follower limit. I know Simon Teen is asking for like 5,000 followers, I think, in their newest application. But it is important that you for working directly with publishers, it is important that you have your main platform, whether that's BookTube, Bookstagram, TikTok, Twitter. I don't know if they do Twitter. Probably. You have some type of social platform, even or blogs or something, and you have your stats. The number one thing for this next section is you have a follower account. I don't think there's a minimum. I'd say aim for over 1,000. I'm not saying if you're under 1,000, don't apply, but work on building that count to get more opportunities. You know how to find your stats. Some publishers will ask for specific stats and sometimes will tell you how to do it. If it's Instagram, which I know the most because that's my main platform, if you have a business or creators account, you can go look at your insights and see your reach or how much engagement you get and things like that, which is what publishers are going to ask for. Second way of getting ARCs is working directly with the publisher. A lot of people don't know is most publishers have some type of application or instructions on their website on how to apply to be part of their influencer program. Most publishers in this day and age have an influencer program. It's a matter of how to find it. I will tell you specifically, Penguin Teen, which is one of my favorite publishers to work with, by the way. They're super responsive. They always have fun things for influencers. It's always a great time. They have a section on their website on how to apply. I'm going to link some sites in the description for you guys to look through. If you apply and you don't hear back, don't feel super discouraged. I didn't hear back the first 2 times I applied for Penguin Teen. Just think about how many emails I get. It's probably just lost in the sauce. Send it a couple more times. I'd say space it out. If you don't hear from them after a month, send another one. Penguin has a thing on their website, Get Underlined, which is also under Penguin Random House, but different titles is Get Underlined. You can email them and apply to be their part of their Insta program. I think they have the information on their website. HarperCollins, once again, I think you email to be on the website. And so I think these publishers have instructions on their website. Simon Teen just opened an influencer application that you can go apply to. They do have a minimum of 5,000 followers, but you can go apply to those. Other publishers, who else I worked with? Scholastic. I actually don't know how I got on Scholastic's mailing list. I got an email one time, I think, from someone called Big Honcho Media, which is, I think, like a bigger company that works with Scholastic, and I gave them my information, and somehow I ended up on Scholastic's mailing address. So some of these, because it's been 2.5 years now, I forgot how I got in their mailing addresses, but the biggest thing is, if you don't ask, you won't receive. This really is a matter of like hustling and like going and getting your emails out there. Now, say you want an arc of a specific book. You're like, I love Chloe Gong. I want her next book. I want to help promote it. I want an arc. What you can do is go on the website of their publisher, find some sort of email. It can be like publicity@Simon or something. That's how you do. Find some generic email. You want to send an email, and this is what you want to do. In your email, you want to say, whether it's for an influencer list application or for a specific arc. First of all, you want to put what you're emailing about in your subject line, make it very clear what you want. In your body, the first sentence is, I am requesting an arc of this book. Or then you want to introduce yourself. And I'll put an example of one of the emails I send. Is, my name is so-and-so. I'm a content creator on this platform. Here's my platform. Then you want to give your stats. I have this many followers with a reach of this much and an engagement of this much and an engagement of this much in the past however many days. I usually do either past 7, 14, or 30 days because that's the time frames Instagram will give you your stats in. And honestly, I put whatever looks better, which what you should do. Make yourself look good. You're selling your reviews. I'll say I'm a book blogger, and I'll link an example to a book review I've done before. And I think this is so important. You want to give a proof of like, here's the type of content I make. And so you're like, I do book reviews on my platform such as this one, and like link it. So pick a good review you've done with a good picture or something, link it. And I'm interested in doing this and this. Always give your address in the email. Say, for reference, here's my address. Sometimes these publishers won't answer you and they'll still send you a copy. So you want to have that information already available for them, because if it's not there and they don't bother sending an email, how are they going to give you one? Always include your email in there, and then thank you, sign it off. That's how your email should go. And it really is a matter of, if you don't ask, you won't get, because what's the worst that could happen? The worst is going to happen is they're going to say no, or they're going to ignore you, and that's all. Another thing to do is, if you want a specific book and like you're the author a little bit, you could always ask them for their publicist emails. Don't go charge your authors with what's your publicist email, because that's also not the author's responsibility. But if you're like friendly enough with an author and you've chatted a few times, be like, hey, what's your publicist email? I'd love to ask them for an arc. Do not ask authors for arcs. They have arcs, they can do giveaways if they'd like, but it is not the author's responsibility to give away their own stock of their books. Their publisher does the promotion for them. Some authors do it and they love to, and that's fine, but do not go ask authors in their DMs, hey, send me an arc of your book. Do not go ask authors for arcs of their books. They should not be the ones giving that to you. Publishers and publicists have a job. They have a budget for promoting the book. Let them use it. Leave the authors alone. And like I said, once you're in this for a bit, you'll start to know who's who. You'll know, like, you probably heard of James from Penguin Teen, or Felicity from Penguin Teen. I just really know the Penguin Teen people. If you communicate via email enough, you'll start knowing people enough. Know them enough that you have their emails, and you can like email direct me like, hey James, I'm really interested in this title. Could you redirect me to the correct point of contact for this book so I could ask for an arc? Or if you know, like, some of your friends, like, obviously if you have online friends in the book community and they're also working this art game, be like, hey, do you have an email for this publisher? Do you have a contact to this publisher that I could email? And kind of just talking amongst yourselves and helping each other out increases your chance of getting boxes and getting books. That pretty much covers how to get arcs, but let me touch on something. Now, you're applying for all these things, you're getting all the things, that's great. Now what do? You have to make sure you're doing your due diligence. These companies, these authors, these publishers are trusting you with their book. I'm not saying you have to write positive reviews or you have to write reviews, you don't. But to build a sort of relationship, It's like that NetGalley ratio, right? It's like, why would they keep giving you books if you only review 20% of the books you get? Similar with physical arcs. If you're not posting a good amount of them or doing your due diligence to like even just sharing, oh, thanks Penguin Team for sending this to me, I'll post about it or something. A good relationship like that will increase your chances of continuing to get promo, continuing to get books. If you're just like getting these books and getting these boxes and then never posting on them or never writing reviews on them, the publisher isn't benefiting anymore. So they're more likely to stop. Now what happens is when you're building this relationship with publishers, eventually it'll get to the point when they're doing paid promotions for a book, they'll start thinking of certain influencers. They'll know like, oh, I know Besma posts really good videos, example. So she might be a good fit for this promotion. So building these relationships with these publishers will put you in line for more opportunities. Like if you consistently post good content for Penguin Teen, I'm just using Penguin Teen because I work with them the most. This is not a paid promotion, although this is like non-sponsored. I just really like working Penguin Teen. If I consistently post good content for Penguin Teen and they suddenly have a paid promotion because they have budget set aside for books and they're like, oh, we're doing, I don't know, 5 paid videos for this book. Oh, Besma posts really good content. Let's pitch it to her. Let's invite her for this promotion. So all of this comes from building a good relationship with publishers. I'm trying to think if I have any other tips on how to get arcs and these kind of things. I really just touched on a lot. A lot of it is just like sit down, research your publishers that you want to work with. Try to find influencer forums or points of contact that you can email and apply and pitch yourself and know your stats. If you have any other questions, drop them in the comments, and if I need to make part 2, I will. I'm just blanking on anything else I need to answer right now. So let me know in the comments if you have any other questions on this or anything in the publishing industry or in the influencer industry. I'm by no means a professional. My only experience is doing this content creating for like 2.5 years now. So I'm just trying to share the knowledge I have. And I think that's it for today. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Bye!